What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Overtime Operators, the show where we teach you how to make money in sports. Today, we are doing our bets of the week, top bets of the week. I am here with Daps and Casey, the Niners fan man. I'm Triple Cross John, and Daps is at Daps Sports anywhere you want to follow him. We're going to do our bets for this week, boys, and then we're going to get into a little game that we like to call Heat Check. Little trivia game. You guys are going to get pitted against each other. Kind of fantasy football related, so it'll be a good time. Before we get into that, though, we got to cover our bets from last week. I was not here last week. The week before was a very bad week all around. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about last week, which is a very good week for both of you. So to recap, Casey, in your $10 bet, you went Ravens at Browns. The Browns had 6 points, so you took the Browns with the 6 points, and you won that one. The Browns won the game. So you won that one, $10. Feel like you should get a bonus if they win. You know what I mean? On those, if you pick the dog, you should get like just a plus 110 if they win. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take it.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Vegas has to make their money, but you know. You had Christian McCaffrey first touchdown in your $20 spot. You cursed him because he broke his 17 game long streak. You did not win that bet. Didn't hit. Colts at Pats. You took the Colts. You didn't care about the 1.5 points. I wouldn't have either. You won that bet in your $30 spot. $40 spot. Texans at Bengals. You just took an over on this, so over 48. They destroyed 48. It was like 57 or something like that, or more. It might have been 67. It was a lot. It was more than 48. You won that bet, $40. And then lastly, Niners at Jaguars. Spread was 3 points. It was a good week to bet the Niners. Everybody was down on them from the losing streak, and they just dog walked the Jaguars. You won that $50 bet. That puts you up $110 for the week, Casey. Very good week. Bravo. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If you're following Casey into bets, you did bad 2 weeks ago, but you made it all up last week. So, and 3 weeks ago was good. So if you're following Casey into bets, you're up. You're upside right side up, whatever it is.
We're feeling good.
If you're following Daps though, you're also upside right. So Giants at Cowboys, you took the under on 38.5 in that bet in your $10 slot. Did not hit. The Cowboys beat the under by themselves, I think.
And that covered in the third quarter, the over.
Yeah. Just
a lot of unnecessary scoring in that one. Yeah.
But yeah, the Giants, trash football team. Hot trash. So, yep, giving up lots of points, not scoring any points. They have some crazy stat, like they haven't scored a touchdown in like some crazy number of possessions or something like that. It's bad. It's bad out there in New York. Broncos, Bills, -7.5. You liked the Bills with the 7.5 point spread on Monday night, but the Broncos won the game, so you lost that one in your $20 slot too. But then you got hot. Niners at Jaguars. Like Casey, you took the Niners. You didn't care about the 3 points. You won that bet in your $30 slot. You took the Browns, like Casey as well, just following Casey into bets. It's a good strategy. Browns +6 in your $40 slot. You were more confident in the Browns. You liked the Browns last week, and you won that. And then Chargers Lions, you took an over on this one. So in the $50 slot, most confident bet, you took the over of 48.5, and I think they destroyed it as well. That we went way over 48.5. So you ended up right side up, $90 last week. Very good week. When you're betting 150 to end up upside right, $90 or $110 like you two did. Definitely a good portfolio of bets. So, it's not financial advice, but if you're going to follow someone into bets, not these two guys on my right and left, good follow.
You could do worse.
Could do worse. All right, so let's get into this week. We'll do the $10 round. Daps, do you want to start with the $10 round?
Yes, I have the Bengals +4 in Baltimore for $10. That's not extremely confident in it. That's why it's in my $10 spot. But Bengals and Ravens both coming off hard losses. I think the Ravens looked pretty good against the Browns. Ended up losing the game.
Yep.
I just like this to be kind of a close divisional grind out type game. I could see either team winning on a field goal, and that's why I'm going to go with the Bengals +4.
I like it. The 4 points just on the other side of a field goal. Good idea. All right, I will go next. I'm going with a NBA bet. I think the game is tomorrow, or I think the game will be Friday this week. So I am going Bucks over Hornets. The last spread I checked, this could be updated by the time anybody's watching this, but it was at 4.5 points. Bucks over Hornets minus 4.5. Look, I get the Bucks look shakier than we all hoped for and expected, but we're talking about the Hornets. 4.5 points. The Bucks are still like plenty. They're fine on the season. They're still winning basketball games. So I like them over the Hornets. Only 4.5 points. Usually if a game is close enough, 4.5 is in that zone where one team starts fouling and a couple free throws makes that 3-point game a 5-point game. So yeah, I like that one in my $10 slot. Casey, to you in the $10 slot.
John, I almost pivoted off of this game, but I decided to stick with it with the updated line. As we heard, Deshaun Watson is now out for the remainder of the season. The line definitely shifted in the Steelers at Browns game. Browns were, I believe, 5.5-point favorites.
I saw them at 3.5 yesterday, I think.
Well, that was probably it's probably been updating for the last 48 hours as that situation
I
developed.
liked it at 3.5 with Deshaun Watson, but yeah.
Yeah, I had it at an even higher.
Just to let you know, that game is currently off my book. So like they're adjusting it right
they're
now.
adjusting it. So buyer beware on this game, but yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find it either, and then it just popped up for me on DraftKings. So DraftKings at least has it, or at least did as of 5 minutes ago when I refreshed that page. I see the Browns are favored by 1 point now, which I think doesn't push me off this game. Maybe it's just because it's the $10 slot. I can show less confidence in this. I already kind of had it there because of that situation. So knowing definitively that Deshaun Watson is out, I think I'll still take the Browns to win this game. That defense is dominant.
Yeah.
Not to say that Pittsburgh's isn't, but at the end of the day, the Browns are looking like a team that I believe in with the game on the line more than the Steelers.
The Browns seem like a pretty dang good football team this year. And the Steelers, I don't even know what I'm looking at in Pittsburgh. Like, it doesn't look good.
Not for nothing. We've seen the Browns.
Win.
Well, we've seen the Browns backups in action as well, right?
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of guys step in. I think DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson is getting the start here. I think he was kind of up and down in his other starters, other appearances. But I believe in the guy's talent, and he had to do something to overtake the XFL Warrior who beat my Niners. So they must have seen something they liked in practice to bring him back to the top of the depth chart. So I'm riding with the Browns. Maybe a little dicey, and I think you could also see this line kind of change even more. Maybe the Browns actually become the underdogs. So,
yeah, that's true. If you've got them at -1, if they get points, you're definitely taking them. Daps, or no, I'm at my $10. No, we're to the $20 round. That's the $10 rounds now. We're to the $20 round. I'll go first on $20. I've got Chargers over Packers. Last spread I saw was -3. I get that. I think the Chargers are one of those teams that is sort of favorable in the moment as spreads, kind of like the Niners were last week, where there's some recency bias and some record bias that like, oh, these guys aren't that good. But I think they are a good football team who's lost some tough games. Whereas the Packers, I think they're a not good football team who's won a few games. And at -3, I like that. I like that if it's a field goal game, I get out clean. And if it's more than a field goal game, then I win. Or because if it's not that, then I kind of think the Packers just pull off an upset. So I do think the Chargers win. And if they win, then 3 points, I'll take my money back. So that's in my $20 slot. Casey, to you for the $20 bet.
Yeah, my $20 bet this week is going to be another NFL bet. I think I stayed all the way in the NFL this week. I got a big matchup I just kind of wanted a piece of. I think that's how a lot of people bet. You find a game that you're kind of interested in, and then you figure out what's the action you like in the game. So for the people who are doing that, I bet they land in a similar spot this week in the Eagles at Chiefs matchup in Kansas City. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5 points, and I'll take them all day here. This is the Super Bowl rematch, and I anticipate it'll go similar to the Super Bowl did. So that's how I see this one. Too much star power. The Chiefs actually need it right now, too. They need to win. So
Do you have eyes? Does anybody have eyes on the over under on that bet? I don't have it pulled up. I would probably tend toward the over under. I don't know who's going to win that, but it's okay if you don't. We can move through. All right.
It's 45.5.
I kind of like an over on 45.5. I mean, I'm not betting it, but that'd be another way to get in on the action.
That seems low for those two teams, and I don't like that.
You know
what I mean? Like,
why?
I don't.
Why is it so? What do you know that we don't?
Yeah,
I got you.
Like, why? That seems like something that should be around 50, 52. So it's at 45.5. It's so attractive at the over is so attractive at 45.5. You go Vegas knows something.
NFL,
I don't like this.
yeah, they've got they got the script a week early.
I see it
they
as
have
less
the script.
surprising, honestly. By the way, that's the Monday night game, so even more attention on that game. And I think it's just the matter of how the Eagles will have to try to win the game. You got to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands.
We're going to be
At least
outside?
that's what I would think. So you're going to try to eat up the clock,
in
I think, as much as possible.
It's in KC, so it's outside. Unders have been hitting on outside games, so maybe that's it. Okay, $20 bet to you, Daps.
I'm going to go with the Texans Cardinals over 48 indoors. Kyler's back. I like the way he played. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the end of the game. He won in a really spectacular way, very Kyler-esque fashion.
Right, classic Kyler stuff.
Yeah, and also it's just a weird situation because Kyler comes back after they said he was going to miss 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. He comes back week 10. They're 1-8 or 2-8 or whatever their record is right now. They have really nothing to play for. So I don't know if Kyler's kind of putting on highlight film for his next team for the rest of the year, or where his mind is at, if they want to keep him, if they're tanking for Caleb Williams. I just think that there's probably a couple teams in the league that if they sign Kyler next year, they are significantly better immediately. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an interesting thing to look out for and watch that play out. But I think Stroud's been putting up 30 points a game, easy, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 500 yards, 400 yards, however many yards he's throwing for. I like the over Kyler versus CJ Stroud.
I like it. All right, you're going to get the turnaround here. Give me your $30 bet as well.
The $30 bet I have is the Cowboys minus 10.5 in Carolina. The Cowboys have destroyed every bad team they faced this year outside of the Cardinals, and they didn't have 3 of their starting offensive linemen. So I think that trend continues. I've watched a bunch of Panthers games. Really, really tough to watch this year.
Yeah,
the Panthers.
That sounds so boring.
Right. They can't move the ball, and it's just not fun to watch. And I don't see them getting it together against Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys D. So Dak and CD really seem in sync right now. And CD made a comment, I'm the best receiver in the league last week. And we could argue that all day, but when you see the 3 stat lines he put up, when he said that over the last 3 weeks, it's like $150, 2 touchdowns, $150, 1 touchdown, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. So when you have stats like that, you can make statements like that. And, you can argue all day about it, but nobody, AJ Brown would be the next guy who could put up stats like that. I think he has 8 weeks or 6 weeks with 125 plus yards, whatever the streak he's got going is. But CD's right behind him.
Yeah, when your WR1 is Adam Thielen, you're in a tough spot, and that's the position they're in Carolina. So I get you. 10.5 is too scary for me, but I like that you're confident in it. Casey, we'll go to you for for your $30 bet.
Sure. My $30 bet is in the same game as Daps' $20 bet. I'm a little less confident who I think will actually win this game. Texans, it's the Cardinals at Texans. Texans are 5-point favorites. That kind of pushed me off of betting on the winner here, betting against the spread, just because these are both teams that have a wide range of outcomes. Even to years past, Kyler is super good, super great moments, and then also really inconsistent at the same time, right? And the Texans are kind of that way to me too. They're still a young team, developing chemistry together. They're really good at sometimes. I think they could pull this one out. They could also lose. But the one thing I do like that Daps mentioned is Kyler is back. That makes me feel super confident for one guy in particular, and that's Hollywood Marquise Brown. He's got a line of 59.5 receiving yards right now that I found on Betting Pros. And with the emergence of Trey McBride, the rookie tight end, the secret's kind of getting out on him. He's demanding a little bit more respect on defense now, from the defense. So I think that it's no longer like a given that Marquise Brown is really like the only guy you got to worry about if you're the defense now that, since Hopkins left, right? So I think that could actually make some opportunity for Brown, and he's the kind of guy typically plenty of targets downfield as well. So, I mean, he could hit 60 yards on 2 plays. So I like those odds there. I think it should be a close enough game, regardless of who wins, that they're not going to go into like clock killing mode or anything. Not that they even really have the personnel to do that if they wanted to. So that's how I see that game. And that's why I got Marquise Brown to hit the over on 59.5 receiving yards.
I like it. Okay. $30 bet to me, correct? Yes. So back to the NBA for me. Game is Friday night. It is Celtics Raptors. Celtics are 4.5 point favorites, and I like the Celtics at 4.5 points. Even in Toronto, I'm not too concerned about them playing in Toronto. They're a fine road team. So, I don't have much more to say about it. Celtics are a really well put together basketball team. The Raptors are Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes. 4.5 points should be very doable for the Boston squad. Let's move on to the $40 round where we're getting into the real money. For Daps, this is also known as the $40,000 round. I'm just kidding. I'll go first here. I got Vikings over Broncos. It feels weird. I don't like doing this in my gut because I'm a Vikings fan. And I don't like betting on the teams that I'm actually a fan of. But I think the Vikings are getting kind of downgraded because of the quarterback situation. I think the Broncos are getting upgraded because they're on they're coming off a hot win. I like this at 2.5 points. I think a field goal win is very possible. And so I'm just going to live and die on the Vikings game this week. It will make me either very happy or very unhappy. That's where I'm going with it. Daps, we'll go to you to your $40 bet.
Oddly enough, John,
no way.
my $40 bet is the Broncos minus 2.5.
Oh gosh.
At home.
One of us going to be.
Love this.
Yeah, I love that we're doing this. This is really nice.
Yeah, and my reasoning is over the last couple weeks, the Broncos, Mile High is one of them for sure. I like we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. We like home teams, right? At this point in the season, but the Broncos have looked good. Comparatively to what they looked like earlier in the season, they've looked good. The teams that they've beat are no joke. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. So if you can beat the Chiefs and the Bills, my question is, what team can't you play with and beat? You could beat anybody. So, we could disgrace and disparage the Broncos all they want. They have Russell Wilson. They have Sean Payton. They have Javonte Williams, who is 20 points in a row the last 3 fantasy weeks. They have Cortland Sutton, who's no joke. Marvin Mims. They have plenty of weapons. They lost to the Raiders week 1 by 1 point. They lost to the Commanders week 2 by 2 points. They got blown out by the Dolphins. A bad loss to the Jets. They lost to KC by 10 points. They beat Green Bay, KC, Buffalo the last 3 weeks. And now Minnesota, and I'm a big Josh Dobbs fan, but this, storybook, fairy tale, Cinderella story is going to come to an end. Josh Dobbs, I like him. I think they could do a 7 seed maybe in the NFC, but there's got to be a point where you get a little bit of tape on him. Very Colin Kaepernick-esque to me, the Josh Dobbs kind of trajectory over the last couple weeks. Kaepernick was amazing for a season. Everybody got tape on him, and then he stunk, right? He was no good after 1 year. Maybe he had 2 good years. So, listen, I'm rooting for Dobbs. He's got a lot of weapons. If Justin Jefferson comes back, very, very interesting. But going into Denver and playing at that altitude and having to beat a team that's beat 2 of the best teams in the league and is on a 3-game winning streak, I don't see it happening. I like the Broncos.
All right. Casey, $40 bet.
Yeah, by the way, I love the infighting there between you guys for what it's worth. I don't know how I feel about that game. That's why I left
Yeah,
it
you
out.
stayed out of it.
But I do feel good about this game. Maybe surprising to some people, maybe surprising to you guys, or maybe you're saving it for the $50 round. I don't know. But the spread bet that I like the best this week is actually the Lions. Bears are visiting the Lions in Detroit, and the Lions are 9-point favorites. I think that's for a reason. I think they're going to completely handle the Bears. It does look like Justin Fields is expected to start. This line was at 10 points yesterday. The Lions were favored by 10. So they're at 9 today with the news that Justin Fields is more likely to start. I could see this line even moving more in favor of the Lions if it becomes, confirmed that Justin Fields will be the starter. That report, I think, could move this another point or maybe even 2. Who knows? So the Lions to win by a couple of scores, I like it. I think they're a much better team. They're really asserting themselves at the top of the NFC lately. And there's just, I can't imagine this game. I can't imagine the Bears winning the game. And when I think of the Lions winning, I can't imagine guessing they'll win by less than 9. So that's my $40 bet.
I like it. I said my 40. Daps said his 40. You said your 40. That means it's time for the $50 round. Mr. Daps, would you like to kick off the $50 round?
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs -2.5. Mahomes at home. They need a win. I like the Eagles. I think they're a good team. I just think the Chiefs are better. I think that, they've proven that in the Super Bowl last year. Mahomes at the quarterback position is better than Hurts, right? I don't think that's really arguable. The only thing the Chiefs are lacking is receiver depth. And I think that this kid, not Sky Moore, but Rashee Rice is really kind of like coming into his own, and he hasn't gotten the end zone a lot, but he's getting more and more targets every week. He catches 3, 4, 5 balls for 50 yards, 60 yards, 70 yards. I think he did score a touchdown on like 30 yards or 40 yards previous weeks. Once Mahomes kind of develops that trust with one of those guys, it's going to be interesting. The running game, Pacheco, is legit, and their defense is really solid. So I don't really know how this game flows. I don't know if it's a shootout or if it's like a grind back and forth. They can't move the ball, which I could see too. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are going to pull this one out, and mainly because it's in their home court, right? So if it was in Philly, maybe I would lean a little bit more towards Jalen Hurts to get it done, but I'm going to go Chiefs in this one.
I mean, if Taylor's there, they'll win. That's just how it goes.
Correct.
The NFL script writers won't let it happen any other way. Casey, $50 bet.
Yeah, $50 bet. I like that Daps overlapped me on his $50 bet this week. Love it when that happens. I think he said something speaking to my narrative here on my $50 bet as well, although it's a little different than what his was. I like the Niners this week. I like them a lot. I like them every week, to be honest. But this week in particular, I don't think they're going to have an issue putting up points. They have a single team points line game prop of 26.5 points.
Yep.
And man, it just feels like if they're firing on all cylinders, they could sleepwalk to that number. That's how I feel about it. They've put up 30 points in, I feel like, just about every game that they've won. And I certainly think they're going to win this game. So against the Tampa Bay Bucks, they're 12-point favorites. So, I mean, even the sports books, they anticipate a lot of points going to the Niners. So I think this is a smash play. I mean, I would love to hear if anybody has any reasons why they don't think this could happen. But maybe the game gets out of hand too early. But I think they're in a spot where they try to aim for 30 points. I don't think they care about how many points the other team has. That's the mark they try to hit. Shanahan has said it over and over and over again. That is their winning formula. So they're definitely, no matter what, they're not taking their foot off the other team's throat if they're ahead until they hit that 30-point mark. That's just their objective every game.
I'll double down on this because I think I was checking Niners. I wanted some Niners action, but I didn't like a spread at 12. The money line I think I had yesterday was like 525, minus 525, which I was like, I mean, I guess I would take it with $50. The points prop that I saw yesterday was higher than 26.5, I think. So I mean, I have written here 49ers money line minus 525, but the money line I'm seeing most updated is minus 621. And I would prefer over 26 and a half points. So I don't mean to follow you in, but if I have to take the money line, I'll take the money line, but I'd rather have the over 26 and a half points. That's for sure. But I'm definitely doing something with the Niners in that $50 spot.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you could find that line if you're interested on FanDuel Sportsbook. That should be the current one, as well as some other ones too. But that's the big one.
Nice. All right. That is betting. That is the week of betting. If you are listening to this and you're following people into bets, I'm not giving you financial advice, but I am telling you, don't follow me into bets. Follow Daps or Casey. That's better. It's just been better for you in better life decision. We're going to move to
John if you want to bet on NBA, though. I think I'm over on NBA.
Well,
bets, so
if you want to bet on NBA,
specialty.
If you want to bet on NBA, I'm also not that hot, but I am the only person who's betting there. So there's that. Next up, I think we are going to do a game that we like to call Heat Check. I'm going to throw a player out there, and we're going to do all-purpose yards today. The way Heat Check works is I'm going to tell you how many all-purpose yards they have. You have to guess if another player that I name has more or less. It's pretty self-explanatory when we start. We have done a coin flip before this, and Daps won the coin flip and elected to go second. So, Casey, you are first up. And the first player is Breece Hall, who has 767 all-purpose yards. Now, quick pause, all-purpose yards does include return yards for returners. Just a heads up. Not relevant to the Breece Hall thing, but Breece Hall has 767. Does Mike Evans have more or less all-purpose yards than 767?
Man, okay. Thinking through this while not trying to be too quiet for this podcast, my initial reaction is probably leaning towards Hall. Let's see. I'm pretty sure the Bucks had their bye week already. The Jets, I think they did too. Less confident there, but I think they did too. So I don't think that's a factor. Typically, running backs are favored a little bit in all-purpose yardage. Mike Evans is a pretty deep threat, amongst other things. Receives a lot of targets, though. So I guess I could be surprised here, but I'm going to go with my gut instinct. Breece Hall's had some monster games. Did he miss any time? Have either missed time? Both guys have injury history. I know Breece Hall had some clunkers, dang, but I don't think he missed any time. I got to go with my gut. I gotta stick with Breece Hall. Let's roll with that one.
So your answer is so to recap, Breece Hall has 767 all-purpose yards. I asked if Mike Evans has more or less, and your answer is
lower, but
less. Fewer is probably yes.
Yeah, and I feel increasingly less confident with my answer, but that's what I'm rolling with.
Breece Hall had 767. Mike Evans has 737. The answer was less. Casey has 1 point. Daps, to you. Mike Evans has 737 all-purpose yards. Does Kenneth Walker have more or less?
What is the number?
737.
737 all-purpose yards. I'm going to say that Kenneth Walker has more yards than that.
So Mike Evans has 737. Ken Walker has 770. The answer was more. You got it. Daps gets a point. So the score after the first round is 1-1. Moving to the next round, Ken Walker has 70. Ken Walker has 770 all-purpose yards. Does Derrick Henry have more or less?
Interesting. Man, you're picking so many of these running backs that rely almost exclusively on rushing yards. Man, Derrick Henry. Let's see. I mean, I know it sounds blasphemous, right? He's usually right at the very top of at least rushing yards. I don't know where he falls right now during the season, but I guess this year, if I'm just trying to think about this year, I don't necessarily think of him as having as many yards as the guys we've talked about, like Breece Hall or Ken Walker. I'm going to guess he's behind those guys. What's the number exactly that I'm weighing it against?
770.
I'm going to go ahead and say less. I think Derrick Henry has fewer than 770 all-purpose yards because I don't imagine he has a ton of receiving yards.
All right. Ken Walker had 770 all-purpose yards. Derrick Henry has 786 all-purpose yards. The answer is
Wow.
more.
I was so wrong.
Casey missed it. Yeah. No, I mean, they're all close. That's how this game works. I pick people who are right next to each other for the most part.
Sure did. You sure did, John.
Yeah.
You sure did, John. You
Yeah.
sure did.
16 yards. So, all right. Derrick Henry, 786
Can't believe it.
all-purpose yards. Derrick Henry has 786 all-purpose yards. Daps. Does Jamar Chase have more or less than that?
786.
Yes.
That's the number.
That's the number.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Jamar Chase has more, with my reason being that I think he had close to 200 yards in one game. So I'm going to say more.
All right. Derrick Henry has 786. Dap says Jamar Chase has more. Jamar Chase has 815 all-purpose yards. The answer was more. So after the second round, Daps is up 2-1. Daps has double the number of points that you do, Casey.
I want to know, Daps, would you have guessed Derrick Henry had fewer like me? Or were
Then
you...
Ken Walker.
I'll tell you something. When you got asked that question, I was very thankful you were getting asked the question because I was like, damn, that's tough. It would have been like a last second thing in my head. I don't know.
It was tough. It's good. Hey, let's keep playing. Let's keep going. Could go either
Casey.
way still.
Jamar Chase has 815 all-purpose yards, Casey. Does Alvin Kamara have more or less?
I mean, Kamara's got to have fewer, right? Got to be fewer. Fewer. Less.
Jamar Chase has 815 all-purpose yards. Alvin Kamara has 693.
Yeah, okay. That one...
So there you go. I gave you a
that one
gimme
felt too
after the
easy,
16
and
yard.
It made me nervous, honestly. I was like, there's no way, right?
Alvin Kamara gets a lot of both kinds of touches, and he's like Derek. He's the bailout guy.
He served a suspension.
And you gotta remember-
that was this year, right? I'm not going crazy. Yeah, he didn't start the
He
year.
did, but
though.
you also have to remember he was the one who had like what was it, 20 receptions in a game, or like when Derek Carr couldn't throw.
It's fair enough. But yeah,
All right, Daps,
So hold on. Kamara had more yards than Chase or less?
less.
Right.
So Alvin Kamara has 693 all-purpose yards. To you, Daps, does Isaiah Pacheco have more or less?
Wow, I hate this.
I hate this
that's a good one. Solid one.
Isaiah Pacheco, the number is 693.
Number 693.
And we're in what, week 10?
Through 10 weeks,
Through
right?
10. Yeah, through 10.
We're through 10 weeks.
Have they had their bye? I don't know if they've had their bye.
I believe the Chiefs just had their bye, so I'm assuming that Pacheco has played 9 games so far.
Potentially. I don't know if they've had their bye, actually. They
John, just
definitely
confusing you
just
more.
lost to the Broncos this week, so it wasn't this week.
No. They Mahomes didn't play last week, is what I'm saying. So he had last week off. The Broncos just beat the Bills on Monday night.
Oh, yeah, they beat the Bills. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna say Pacheco has less.
Alvin Kamara has 693 all-purpose yards. Dap says Isaiah Pacheco has less. Isaiah Pacheco has 685 all-purpose yards. That's the closest one. That's the closest one that we've had so far. There was an
Nice.
8-yard difference that you got there, Daps. That was a good job.
And by the way, part of that is just in 9 games, Pacheco he's like fantasy okay. He's not like, wow, Pacheco's a stud this year, right? So because he's just okay, I'm going, all right, well, I don't think he's got the yards. I just don't think it.
Yeah.
9 games,
Where's
you
the
have to be
yards?
averaging. Yeah, where are the yards? Right?
Yeah.
Kamara's been the only receiving back so far mentioned, so such a huge advantage for yardage.
Yes. All right, Casey, to you. Isaiah Pacheco has 685 all-purpose yards. Does Antonio Gibson have more or less?
Oh my God.
Finally, another receiving back, but this dude hasn't done much on the ground, so it's like purely receiving. As far as I remember, Brian Robinson has a pretty strong stranglehold, I think, on the running situation there in Washington. I don't think I could think two ways about this. I think I gotta go less with Antonio.
Okay. So Isaiah Pacheco, 685 all-purpose yards. Casey says Antonio Gibson has less. Antonio Gibson has 746 all-purpose yards. So
Okay.
quite a bit more. And you, Gibson and Robinson, actually, in terms of all-purpose yards, very good running back room, right next to each other. So,
Yeah, those receptions, man.
yeah, those receptions get you places. All right, Daps. Antonio Gibson. So what are we at here? So Casey, you've got two, right? Is that right? Or no, you've got
I've missed
two wrong.
two.
So you're in Daps. Have you got all? You've got both of yours right so far. So this is round 3. No, this is the last round.
This is round 4.
think
You've
so.
asked Casey 4. I have 3. Casey has 2.
So
you're
Daps
about
wins.
to ask me my 4th.
So Daps
That
wins.
sounds right.
Yes. So Daps wins, but for fun, see if you can sweep it. It was Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson has 746 all-purpose yards. Does DeAndre Swift have more or less?
I have to go more. There's no way I could say.
Say more. Why?
Swift has had a couple games this year where he's been an absolute beast, and that could be due to touchdowns and not yards. But I think DeAndre Swift, from what I've seen from his fantasy output, has done pretty decent week by week, averaging 10 or 11 points. So if those are all because of touchdowns, which I don't believe they are, because when they get to the 1 or 2 yard line, they do the tush push, and Jalen Hurts is the one getting those fantasy points. So if Antonio Gibson has more all-purpose yards than DeAndre Swift, I am shocked.
All right. Antonio Gibson has 746 all-purpose yards. Depp says DeAndre Swift has more. DeAndre Swift has 780 all-purpose yards. So Daps, a perfect 4 for 4, wins the game 4-1. But good news. There is a bonus question worth 4 points, Casey.
Oh my God. 4 points?
I'm just making that up. I don't know. There's a bonus question, though. It was supposed to be
4 points. That's the whole game.
It was,
4 points.
it was supposed to be a tiebreaker. The bonus question was supposed to be a tiebreaker, but Casey couldn't keep it close. So, bonus question, I guess, for fun. I think you guys already know this because I think I mentioned it already. So, I'm just going to say the all-purpose yards leader is Rashid Shaheed from the New Orleans Saints. I almost said Pelicans. From the Saints. How many all-purpose yards does he have? Write it down on a piece of paper or something close to you, or put it in your head, or write it on your calculator on your phone app or something like that, and tell me when you have it.
Didn't know I had to come prepared with school supplies, John.
Yeah, jeez, come on. You got a phone. Just put it on your calculator thing.
The one I'm using for a camera, you mean?
Oh, that's true. You use yours for a camera. Well. In case you need some time to think. Daps, you already have your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Casey. Where are we at?
I'm ready.
All right. On the count of 3, just hold your answers up to your camera best you can. 1, 2, 3. So, Dap said 1,237. Casey said 1,212. You guys landed very close to each other. Rashid Shaheed has 1,154 all-purpose yards. So Casey won the for fun bonus rounds where the points don't matter and the points are made up. Or there's 4 bonus points, however you want to look at it. So good job, Casey. Maybe you won the game or maybe you lost really badly. However it shook out. But I guess, I don't know. So this is an interesting, I mean, we like to kind of tie this into something relevant to people. I think this is interesting for fantasy. I think all purpose yards are a good one because I think people think of running backs and they think of rushing. Like they don't think, oh yeah, like Alvin Kamara, higher value, even though he doesn't rush a lot, he does both, right? Because Rashid Shaheed, it's clearly because of the return yards that he has. Do return yards do anything for somebody in fantasy, or is it just purely, it's just, if you
Most
get a
leagues, no.
Basically, if you
Most
get a
leagues,
touchdown.
no. Even in any given league, the only advantage it gives you at all is a chance at a touchdown. Because
I think he does have one touchdown,
league
so there's that.
does that.
But he's one of the few receivers who like returners who's like actually involved in the offense. So that's the game, guys. That's all purpose yards. That is the show as well. Make sure if you're watching us on YouTube to subscribe to the channel, to hit the bell icon so you get notified whenever we post a new video. If you're listening on an audio platform, please rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, follow us into bets, comment, let us know, hey, you guys suck. I lost a bunch of money following you in the bets, or hey, you made me rich. Let us know. Let us know how you're doing, following us or not following us. And I've been John at Triple Cross John on all of the socials. Casey's at Niners Fan Man or Niners_Fan Man, depending on which social you're on. And Daps is at Daps Sports on all the socials. Give us a follow, and we will see you next time.